Yeah, thank you very much, Cathaoirleach, and I suppose I'd like to thank the Office of the Ceann Comhairle for selecting this item as a topical issue. And may I also take this opportunity to congratulate the Minister, his staff, and the other organisations involved in the conference held in Haulbowline last Friday, Harnessing Our Marine Wealth, and the Seafest event over the weekend as well. It was a tremendous success, very well attended, and was very pleased to hear contributions from the European Commissioner that has responsibility with marine issues. Arising from that conference, which has, I think, a real achievable aspiration of developing a maritime economy far greater than we do have, that could create an extra 29,000 jobs in the blue economy of this country. I'd just like to focus in on one that continuously comes up in Castletownbere, where the Minister is well aware that there is the presence of the BIM Regional Training Centre. And again, to compliment Captain Shane Begley and his staff in the centre, they do an extraordinary amount of good work in preparing young men and women for careers at sea, particularly in the sea fishing industry. And it was very pleased to see people like Declan Power recently, in the last week or two, qualifying for his full skipper's ticket out of the work that he did in Castletownbere. And I think more of that is required, and this is where I'm coming from. I do know that the college does do a FETAC Level 5 course in marine engineering processes, which include vessel construction, main propulsion systems, auxiliary machinery, electrical systems, hydraulic and pneumatic systems, and health and safety and environmental modules. But I think we need to look a little bit beyond that. I think there are many tradesmen, not just in places like Castletownbere, or not even just in places like our fishery harbour centres or even our ports, small and large. But I think there is a huge shortage of skills or trades in a general sense in the mainstream trades that could adapt themselves to some work in the marine sector, fabricating and hydraulics, electrics, where it might not be necessary, for example, to take a full FETAC Level 5 course, but one where they may be introduced slowly and by degrees into a course or a module that wouldn't impact unduly on their own work, but would qualify them ultimately for some work, maintenance work, in many of the ports and harbours around the country. It may well be tied in with the dearth of trades that we do have in rural Ireland. And I suppose one of the sad effects of the economic downturn was really the loss of a generation from rural Ireland, and many of them from our ports and harbours. And places like Castletownbere and others have suffered from migration out of people with very specific trades. I think we could look more closely at getting a more focused, nuanced education or trades studies. I do know that Captain Begley in Castletownbere would come under tremendous pressure for resources, so I wouldn't be naive enough to suggest that this would not need resources. It probably would eventually, but I think it's time to maybe start planning for looking at and reviewing how we deliver courses with respect to trades specifically that would serve the marine industry.
Thank you. Minister.
Yeah, thanks, and can I thank the Deputy for raising this issue. In common with other sectors, the seafood sector needs a regular supply of suitably trained and skilled personnel to work on board fishing vessels and fish farms and in processing plants, and indeed in what Deputy Harrington refers to as broader skills around harbour activities. BIM has a long-established record of providing the industry with a vocational training for appropriate qualifications to work as crew members, skippers and engineers on fishing vessels, and this vital service continues to develop. BIM provides a broad range of Department of Transport and QQI accredited courses through the National Fisheries College, with locations in Greencastle, Castletownbere and Dunleary. These courses include fishing vessel deck officer and engineering certificates of competency training, as well as short duration courses on safety, radio, first aid and other nautical skills. BIM's Mobile Coastal Training Unit provides short courses on safety, radio, engineering and navigation at ports around the coast, offering industry practitioners convenient access to the necessary training. Courses related to product handling for seafood processors and traders are provided in the Seafood Development Centre at Clonakilty. Developing industry skills is one of the 5 themes in BIM's current strategy and addresses the promotion and development of business management skills in the sector through leadership programs. Attracting potential seafood graduates into the sector is also targeted through the introduction of new seafood business management courses with selected third-level institutions. The provision of appropriate skills and training to the sector will underpin and drive the competitiveness of the sector through BIM's new strategy. With regard to fishing operational courses, BIM has committed to provide practical certificate and diploma courses, including essential safety training, leading to recognised qualifications from the Department of Transport and FETEC at the BIM training colleges in both Greencastle and Castletownbere. They've committed to develop and implement a strategic upgrade of the training programme for sea fishermen, with particular emphasis on safety and on professional qualifications. Thirdly, to provide statutory safety and FETEC accredited training places to fishermen, fish farm workers and others working in the sector. Also to provide relevant courses to various fishing ports through a mobile coastal training unit, and finally to work with industry to improve the occupational health and safety environment for crew serving on aquaculture and fishing vessels and staff working in seafood processing operations. I take it though from what Deputy Harrington has raised that he would like to see more of a focus on practical apprenticeships and managed out of his home port of Castletownbere. I'll be there on Monday actually, and maybe we can talk in a bit more detail about what he has in mind. We certainly have an open mind on that. What we're trying to do is raise the skill set of the coastal communities, obviously around fishing and aquaculture, but also looking at other marine industries as well, many of which were explored in terms of their potential at the Seafest conference last Friday and Saturday that I know Deputy Harrington was at.
Thank you, Minister. Deputies, 2 minutes.
Thank you again, Colin. Looking again to thank the Minister for his response and to acknowledge, his commitment to the maritime sector and the fishing sector as well. Places like West Cork has, for example, a very, very proud tradition in shipbuilding, particularly in areas around Baltimore. We have a problem. Where I live, there's only one shipwright left trading, and he won't mind if I say it, that not for very long more. He'll be looking to retire shortly, and there is a dearth of skills. And I suppose in many ways, places like the National Maritime College of Ireland is a hugely successful story in attracting graduates, people coming in, and going into a larger element of the maritime industry, whether that's in the merchant marine or in other specialities. What I'm particularly interested in is, for example, where you have tradesmen who have a basic skill level for work onshore, might be attracted into something in the maritime sector, whether it's sea fishing, whether it's the leisure industry, whether it's the commercial sector, in general maintenance, in a few different disciplines. That would allow an industry to up the game in parts of this country that it wouldn't be considered. There wouldn't be considered a future in this. It would again require a different type of thinking from bodies such as BIM. But you have people with a basic skill that may not be able to have enough to maybe make a living at the moment onshore, would not be in a position to attract work offshore or within the sector. But there may be a way of combining both that would satisfy some basic requirements of the industry in smaller ports and harbours, and would provide for a varied, but a future for tradespeople in those ports and harbours, and maybe that discussion could take place beginning on Monday. I would suggest it would be very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I think you're kind of preaching to the converted here, Deputy. I mean, what we are doing at the moment is we're taking a collective approach in government to trying to create viable coastal communities, whether that's through fishing, whether it's through marine tourism, whether it's through ocean renewables, whether it's servicing offshore oil or gas rigs, whether it's through leisure and sport and technology and design. The marine sector, we think will have a turnover by 2020 of well over €6 billion, and that should be able to maintain, a quality of life in coastal communities, which we can all be happy with and proud of. And the challenge for us is to ensure that young men and women growing up in those coastal communities can actually develop the skill sets to be able to build careers servicing those industries, building their own businesses around those industries, whether it's as I say, whether it's agriculture, whether it's fishing, whether it's tourism, whether it's energy, hospitality, or whatever. So I'll happily talk to you in a bit more detail about that. Perhaps it might be useful to set up a working group of some coastal TDs, maybe from government and opposition, and we could explore some of the possibilities around how we could, in a practical sense, put the kind of apprenticeships in place that you're talking about that can increase the skill sets in areas that may have been traditionally valuable, but may over time have been diminished.
Gurmahagat and Tara. Now, topical issue number 3 in the name of Deputy Charlie McConnell, the Deputy, has 4 minutes.
Gurmahagat Cahirla, and I'd like to thank the Ceann Comhairle for selecting this topic